The cake hit me before I even saw Selena move. Fondant crushed into my nose, sweet vanilla flooding my mouth. Then a sharp metallic sting punched into my cheek and stayed there. Laughter rolled under the glass roof of the reception hall, while my sister kept her palm pressed hard against my face, like she was posing me for a photo. "Relax," she said into the microphone clipped to her dress. "It's just a joke." I shoved her arm away. My hand came back streaked red. The laughter thinned into gasps, but the cameras never stopped rolling. 9 months later, I could still recite exactly how everyone reacted in that moment. My 16-year-old niece, Ren, ran covering her mouth. My brother Nathaniel started toward me, then froze when our mother raised one hand. Selena's husband, Grant, looked past my bleeding face toward the content crew standing by the flowers. My mother, Marguerite, looked at the camera first. Only once she saw the red recording light did she finally look at me. "Oh, Renata," she said, like I'd spilled wine on myself. "Don't make a scene." I pressed 2 fingers below the wound. Something hard moved beneath the frosting. "Selena," I said, keeping my voice level, "do not touch me again." She lifted both hands, smiling for the cameras. "I barely touched you. The decoration must have scratched you." A venue employee rushed over with napkins. I stopped him. "Call medical assistance," I said, "and preserve every piece of security footage from this room, the cake staging area, and the hallway outside it." He blinked, clearly expecting tears instead of a preservation request. My mother tried to pull me toward the bridal suite to clean up. I refused. "I need a doctor to see this before anyone touches it," I told her. "You're turning your sister's wedding into a police matter," she snapped. I had spent my entire life watching her translate harm into inconvenience. If Selena broke something, it was an accident. If she humiliated someone, they lacked a sense of humor. If I objected, I was jealous. I hadn't come to this wedding for my mother. 2 weeks earlier, I'd found a teaser on Selena's content page. Blurred family photos, a girl sitting on a bed, a promise about grief turned into strength. I recognized Ren's sweatshirt and the bracelet her late mother had given her. Ren later admitted Selena had filmed her mid-panic attack, promising it was only for family. I'd saved screenshots in 3 different places and arranged to confront Selena privately after the ceremony with a lawyer already on standby. I drove myself that day, skipped the open bar, declined the general media release, texted my friend Petra the venue address. My mistake was believing preparation could control the damage. At the cake table, Ren's breathing changed, shallow, panicked. I told Nathaniel to get her outside, away from the cameras. Selena's maid of honor, Bianca, stepped into their path, glancing toward the camera operator before she noticed the blood and hurried aside. My father, Desmond, murmured that he knew a quiet doctor in town. "I'm going to the ER," I told him. "That creates a record." Across the table, Selena wiped frosting from her own wrist while Grant asked a camera operator, "Did you get the reaction?" "Then document this," I said. "No one deletes anything." Selena laughed. "You always make everything sound sinister." Before I left, I photographed the napkins, the fallen decoration, the cameras, and sealed the evidence in a paper bag with the time and my initials. At the hospital, a doctor confirmed no eye or bone damage, but 2 puncture wounds needed 6 stitches. A nerve had been irritated, leaving numbness across my lip that would last for weeks. The doctor pulled out a pearl-headed corsage pin, a bent length of floral wire, and a rigid strip of black polymer reinforcement that should never have been inside a sugar flower. A nurse sealed each item separately, signed a chain of custody form, and I called the police non-emergency line that same night. My friend Petra drove me home near 2 a.m. Together we backed up every photo to an encrypted drive, then another, then a third. I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I felt the pin push into my skin again. Messages had already arrived, my mother asking me to call before making permanent decisions, my father asking me to wait, Nathaniel asking if Ren's name would appear in any report. Selena's voice note insisted it had all been a silly mutual overreaction. She never once mentioned the pins. By morning, she had posted a video carefully edited to erase the moment she drove the flower into my face, captioned, "My sister couldn't let me have one happy day." It went viral within hours. Comments poured in calling me jealous, bitter, dramatic. I hired an attorney who told me to hold off posting anything emotional and let the evidence speak. My employer called soon after, concerned about the public backlash. I was placed on leave, costing me real income even though my base position remained safe. I built a spreadsheet because organizing pain into rows was how I stayed steady. Dates, times, names, evidence, next steps. It was the only way I could keep breathing. The venue's floor map, requested through preservation notices, revealed 3 hidden cameras, one aimed at my seat, one at my family's table, one at the garden exit. None of them had been positioned for the ceremony or the first dance. They had been aimed entirely at me. Detective Alvarez called days later, confirming Selena and Grant had been asked to preserve devices and messages, and that my mother had shown up uninvited to their interview, repeatedly answering for her adult daughter. At my own interview, I handed over my full message history with Selena, including a line where I'd once called her work predatory, because I wanted investigators to see the whole relationship, not a curated version. The baker, Ophelia Cruz, confirmed through photos and timestamps that the flower had left her kitchen intact inside a protective plastic pick. No pearl pins anywhere near it. Someone had altered it after delivery. That night, Bianca called me crying. She admitted she'd known about a soft cake prank. She had carried the emergency floral kit, which included corsage pins, into the prep room, then left when my mother sent her to fetch powder. When she returned, the flower had changed. She'd been told to keep all 3 cameras rolling and not to let me leave the frame too early. She'd already deleted 2 incriminating texts from Selena after police got involved. I told her to stop talking until she had her own lawyer. Grant called next, insisting the bakery's wire explained everything. It didn't explain the corsage pins. He admitted approving a reaction content plan that described me as controlling and resistant. He admitted he hadn't asked what would happen to Ren's footage, and he admitted, chillingly, that provoking my anger had simply been the plan working as intended. The access logs showed only 4 people had entered the prep room after delivery. Bianca, my mother, Selena, and the event manager who arrived empty-handed and left the same way. That left 3 names, and one of them was my mother. She arrived at my apartment days later with soup, lilies, and a settlement packet, $75,000 in exchange for silence about the wedding, the videos, and every family recording. No mention of Ren needed, because it didn't have to be named. I refused to sign. I asked her why she had looked at the camera before she looked at my bleeding face. She denied remembering. I forwarded the documents to my attorney instead. A leaked stylist email surfaced. Keep Renata in light colors. Dark tones hide blood. The seating chart had been altered the morning of the wedding, moving me directly under the brightest light in clear view of all 3 hidden cameras. My mother had also mentioned, almost proudly, an education fund tied to Ren's story, revealing she knew exactly which footage was being monetized. When I confronted Nathaniel, he swore he'd never signed a release allowing Ren's panic attack to be used. He hadn't. The signature had been created from a shared family email opened on a tablet from our parents' house, timestamped to a morning when work records placed him more than 100 miles away. My mother later admitted in writing that she had completed the form herself. Ren secretly sent me photos of Selena's laptop, a project titled Ren's Breakthrough Final Arc. The footage hadn't just been saved, it had been cleaned, labeled, and slotted into an episode. In a joint meeting, Ren finally described that night, Selena filming while she couldn't breathe, ignoring her when she begged her to stop, my mother only telling Selena to wait once Ren nearly collapsed. Then came the real proof, a pitch deck I had unknowingly archived months earlier, describing me as the estranged, controlling sister whose resistance would create the show's central conflict. It had been written and submitted to a sponsor before the wedding had even happened. A promotional mock-up showed a woman in cream near a wedding cake captioned "My jealous sister ruined my wedding," months before I owned such a dress. A former editor named Simone Delacroix came forward with files proving the confrontation had been scripted, camera assignments, wardrobe notes designed to hide blood, conversation prompts meant to provoke me before the cake ever appeared. She had quit after refusing to help clean audio from Ren's panic attack footage. Bianca's own lawful recording surfaced next, Selena asking what happens if the flower cuts me, answering herself, "A scratch is enough." She panics at blood. My mother adding, then she doesn't leave until they get it. It was undeniable proof they had expected injury and staged the room around it. Grant, reviewing shared company files, found a folder prepared in case he ever left Selena. Clips of him rearranged to look abusive, ready to be released as leverage. He copied everything for the investigation and finally, wordlessly, ended their marriage by moving out. The sponsor convened a formal compliance meeting. Piece by piece, bakery photos, hallway footage, synchronized wedding cameras, the raw uncut audio, Bianca's recording, the pitch deck, and 18 authorized seconds of Ren begging Selena to stop filming. The truth assembled itself. Selena admitted she had anticipated a scratch, not caring that a scratch had never been the actual outcome. Faced with undeniable evidence, the sponsor suspended the show indefinitely, froze all payments, and opened its own investigation into my mother's fraudulent paperwork. What followed wasn't a single dramatic verdict, but a slow unwinding. Selena and my mother, once inseparable, began trading evidence against each other. My mother handing over texts proving Selena requested the pins, Selena handing over emails proving my mother staged the wardrobe and seating. Neither could fully protect the other without incriminating themselves. My father finally admitted he had taken thousands monthly from Selena's earnings and chosen comfort over asking hard questions. He moved into his own apartment and stopped shielding my mother from consequences. Nathaniel revoked every parental authority she had claimed over Ren and began attending every appointment himself. Grant cooperated fully with investigators. His career and marriage both dissolved under the weight of what he had helped build. My civil case eventually settled, full medical costs, lost income, legal fees, additional damages, and a guaranteed audited deletion of every recording involving me, without the silence they had originally demanded. Selena's criminal case ended in a plea. She accepted responsibility for intentionally causing the injury, with probation, mandatory counseling, restitution, and a protective order barring any contact, indirect or otherwise. I gave a victim impact statement. I didn't ask for maximum punishment. I only asked the court to recognize that my pain had been manufactured as content, not an accident that spiraled out of control. The show never resumed, sponsors pulled out, brand deals collapsed. The house Selena and Grant had bought on projected earnings went up for sale, leaving little profit after debts. My mother's management fees vanished the moment the account froze. Ren chose never to watch her own unedited breakdown. Instead, she helped build a school project about consent and media ethics. Her experience shaped her work without becoming its centerpiece. Months later, on a quiet June evening, my brother brought takeout to my apartment and Ren stayed for dinner, complaining he had ordered the noodles too spicy. As the sunset softened the room, she asked if we should take a picture. Nathaniel reached for his phone, hesitated, then set it on a stack of books and used the timer instead. No ring light, no direction, no rehearsed smiles. Just the three of us, slightly imperfect, the faint scar on my cheek catching the light. We didn't post it. We didn't caption it with talk of healing. For the first time in my family's history, the camera didn't get to choose the story. We did. If your pain is ever dismissed as a joke, you don't owe anyone your silence. Document everything, seek real medical help, and let evidence, not performance, defend you. Boundaries are not cruelty, and forgiveness should never be the price of staying quiet. Take a moment to comment your city or country. I love connecting with you all. Thank you for listening and supporting. Be sure to subscribe for more stories. More are coming your way soon. Until next time, stay kind to yourself and stay strong.